world. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that. I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
This came from us? No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's
So,
not new.
The Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez, where we talk everything real estate. What a circus. We have a soap opera right in front of our eyes. So we have the battle with the Trump administration against the chairman of the Federal Reserve. So it all started off with President Trump showing up at the Federal Reserve building with Tim Scott and Chairman Powell. And they were talking to reporters and debating the cost overruns in the construction of the Federal Reserve building. $2.7 billion to refurbish, re-outfit the Federal Reserve, along with another building, annex building, which was a couple $100,000 or a couple $1 million that was done, totaling $3.1 billion. So you just look at Chairman Powell's face. He's nodding his head in disgust, completely aggravated, and it looked like Trump was just really enjoying himself, twisting it and busting chops. So that's how this all started. We're talking about a 2-week period of time where there was fireworks going off, and that's started it off. Then we had the Federal Reserve meeting, and at the Federal Reserve meeting on July 30th, the administration, Trump, has been trying to get the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates, okay? And these are the federal fund rates. But to no avail. July 30th came, no change in rates. But there was news coming out because since 1992, when they decided to keep rates the same, raise them, lower them, it's all been unanimous. This was the first time since 1992 that we did not have a unanimous vote. There were 2 dissenting voices saying that they thought they should cut rates. So that was a piece of news that happened. Then the next day, the job numbers come out, and that's the BLS, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. They come out with the job numbers, and the job numbers came in lower than expected, and there were revisions from past months, much lower. Okay, now that's nothing new, because if we look at under the Biden administration, they had revisions every month of, whatever, 20,000, 7,000, whatever the case may be. But all in all, they came out with a revision for the whole year of over 800,000 jobs that they said were created that really weren't created. So the BLS really needs to figure out a new way of doing things, of predicting, because they're just bad at it. It just doesn't work, okay? But in this case, Trump turned around and fired the commissioner of the BLS, okay? And that's Erica McIntarfer. I know I'm mispronouncing her name, but McIntarfer. She ended up getting fired from her job. Very respectful, very polite on her exit, I guess, tweet or X, whatever you want to call it, where she turned around and said, "Hey, it was an honor and a privilege of me having this post. Thank you very much," that kind of thing. But needless to say, she was fired. Now, on top of that, we have one of the governors for the Federal Reserve announced her resigning. And she wasn't resigning of what was going on, but she has a job lined up at Georgetown University as a teacher. So she took the position, and that starts in September. So she resigned a couple months before her term ended anyway. And that's Adriana Kogler. She resigned. Now, because of the resignation, President Trump gets to nominate her replacement. And he's going to be doing that this week, next week at the absolute latest. That will happen. And at the same time, he's talking about announcing the new chairman of the Federal Reserve. Now, understand, Chairman Powell, he's there until May of next year. And he's been trying to get Powell to resign resign, to quit and say, okay, I'm done. And this is just this unbelievable soap opera going back and forth with everything. But anyway, he's going to announce, he says he's going to announce, we don't know, the new chairman of the Federal Reserve. Now, if that happens, that's going to be called a shadow chairman. And the whole point of having a shadow chairman, reason why he would announce it earlier, is now people will start listening to the shadow chairman, the chairman to be, and now stop listening to Powell, because markets try to predict the future of what's going to happen. So that's some of the ideas that are floated out there. Now, why is this so important? I know this is a real estate show, and I'm talking about the Federal Reserve and this circus, soap opera, fireworks, everything that's going on with everything. The reason why it's important is the markets are trying to predict what's going to happen in the future. And there's a group called the CME group. And what they are is they follow the Fed and they predict, when the Fed rates are going to go up, down, or stay the same. Now, in September's meeting, September 17th, there is a 95% chance that the CME group is predicting that rates will come down 0.25%, okay? And that's the federal fund rate, not interest rates per se. But understand, the federal fund rates, as they go down or go up, typically interest rates follow, okay? It's not a direct correlation, but they follow. So it's really important. And because of all this drama going on for the past 2 weeks, interest rates have dropped from in the higher sixes to 6.5-ish, depending on credit scores, depending on down payment, depending on the day, loan size, all those kind of factors. But interest rates have been dropping. Now, that's good news because the market is tight. The market is projected to sell under existing homes, under 4 million homes, first time in over 20 years. Typically you're selling approximately 5 million, and in the really busy times, like in 2021, it was over 6 million existing homes. Now, of course, if you add new construction with existing, then yes, you're in the 5 million and change. But we're talking about existing home sales. So we want to see if interest rates continue to drift a little bit lower and people start thinking, the smart people in the room, the predictors, if they start thinking that these rates are going to come down, maybe that'll ignite people to go out there and actually buy and sell, because there still is that lock-in effect. The higher the interest rates, if I have a 3% interest rate, I'm more reluctant to put my house up for sale and buy a new one, okay? So let's see. Hopefully, this trend will continue. Now, understand, we've been looking at this for the past 3 or 4 years, saying, hopefully, this trend will continue, and it hasn't. So who knows? Get a quarter, flip it up in the air. Who knows what's going to happen? But if this trend continues to happen and rates drift down a little bit, well, guess what? If we can be in the low 6s or in the 5s, now we have a shot of maybe having the market come back a little bit, because affordability is an issue for buyers. They just don't feel comfortable at those higher interest rates and what those payments look like. And then also for sellers, you have that lock-in effect. So this soap opera, this drama, all I can do is just laugh when I see what's going on. Real estate is super interesting, and the president, like him, hate him, whatever, wherever you stand, I'm not making a decision, but it's entertainment. It's true entertainment. Okay, so that is what's going on with the Fed. And now I did get a question asked, and I love when you guys ask questions. I did ask somebody did ask me about appraisal. If an appraisal comes in lower, what are the remedies to that when you're buying a home? Okay, and there's a couple different options people have. Number one, if appraisal comes in lower than the sale price. So let's just say the sale price is $300,000 and the appraisal comes in at $280,000. What are the options? Well, the buyer can turn around and say, listen, I still want to buy the house, but I want to buy it for the $280. That's what it's worth. Seller, sell it to me for $280. And now the seller has a decision. Yes, I will sell for $280, or no, I will not. Okay. Option two, the seller turns around and said, no, I'm not going to sell the house for $280,000. Why don't we, go in the middle. We'll split the difference at $290. So now you're renegotiating that sale price. Okay. You originally sold it for $300,000. Appraisal came in at $280. Now you compromise and you're at, $290. on the price. Maybe that happens. Or the seller can say, no, I want 300,000. That's it. Take it or leave it. Okay, so on each one of these, if both parties don't come to agreement, they terminate the loan. Now, there's one other option as well. A seller can turn around and say, well, I want to dispute the appraisal. I think the house is worth the 300,000, and I think the appraiser used the wrong comps. So typically, the listing agent will pull the 3 best comps that weren't used in the appraisal and use those to give to the appraiser and say, hey, you missed this house, you missed this one, you missed this one. These are some comps. And guess what? Sometimes appraisals aren't perfect. They may miss a comp where they turned around and say, hey, you're right. You know, this comp is a perfect comp and it is for 305, and they adjust the value. So once again, lower the price. Everybody comes to an agreement for that. They meet in the middle somewhere. They keep the price the same. And if everybody doesn't agree, they terminate, or they can also dispute the value of the appraisal depending on what ends up happening there. Once again, you go to those 3 options that you have. So great question out there. Thanks for giving to that. And it was, you know, people ask those questions all the time. Keep on coming with that. Well, that's the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez. Be sure to follow the show on Instagram, Facebook, and also YouTube, of course. YouTube, The Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez. Okay. Also, please do some likes, subscribe. I'm trying to get to 40,000 subscribers. Super important. And once again, if you have any comments, anything, please put them on there. I love to explain and answer any kind of questions you might have. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll see you next week.